Hey, it's Jack from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Are you ready for it? Super Bowl Sunday. I'm very excited. The NFL is having its Daytona 500 today. If you're not aware, I know, of course, Daytona 500 is next weekend. I am going to Florida, and I will be there for the Daytona 500 next weekend. More on my trip to Florida later in this video. But I wanted to get into something that happened earlier this week, a little bit of a flame war between Rob Hahn, who's a real estate industry consultant and a blogger, and he's also co-host of the Industry Relations podcast, which comes out every Wednesday on YouTube, and Anthony Lamacchia, who has now become the unofficial spokesman for NAR. And we're going to get into why he is basically now the unofficial spokesman in this video. Also have some updates on some other stories that were important that happened this week, and a little bit of a look into next week, where we have very important inflation data coming out. I believe that's on Tuesday. So let's take a look and start off talking about the Anthony Lamacchia Rob Hahn flame war on X. Earlier this week, February 7th, I think this happened. Rob Hahn, yes, I'm literally listening to Anthony Lamacchia tell RISmedia audience to teach buyer agents to steer their clients. So apparently RISmedia had some type of webinar earlier in the week. I missed it. And yeah, not a website I go to all the time, but I check it. I have a bookmark, but I don't go there every day. And apparently that's some webinar, and Anthony Lamacchia was one of the presenters. You remember Anthony Lamacchia. He was the one that was in the debate with Michael Ketchmark. Yes, you remember, right, exactly, that guy. And he's also the one that hosted the event that I attended a short time ago in Boston, Crushing Real Estate, where Kevin Sears, the NAR president, attended and spoke. And so he was there on the RISmedia webinar thingy, and according to Rob Hahn, now I don't believe there's video of this that I have found. At least maybe I'll try to dig that up, and maybe I'll post that up for you if I can find it. I'm literally listening to Anthony Lamacchia tell RISmedia audience to teach buyer agents to steer their clients. So I asked if he was wearing his tinfoil hat, because that's what I put on the thumbnail of the video that I posted. Kind of a joke. Rob actually replied, "No, just a suit and tie. Nothing crazy on this one, but that segment can be shown to the jury at the next trial." And so this went on back and forth with a couple of people, because Rob is assuming that lawyers will take this Anthony Lamacchia clip and present it to future juries, just like they did the famous Tom Ferry podcast video that Tom Ferry immediately pulled off of Twitter, off of YouTube, not before everybody clipped it and saved it into the internets forever, right? Where he had that executive saying kind of off-color comments about never lowering commissions. So Lamacchia wrote back on X, responding directly to Rob Hahn's, do we want to call it an attack? We'll call it an attack. It's a story we know all too well. This is Anthony Lamacchia fighting back. This is entirely untrue. You either misunderstood, only heard a part of what I explained, or are twisting things to help push your narrative against NAR and anyone who defends it. In other words, he's taking this attack on his reputation harshly here. I'm not getting back and forth with you on Twitter. In other words, I'm just sending this one tweet. I'm not going to get into a extended flame war. I'm just going to scorch the earth right now. But I request and suggest, ooh, that sounds kind of like lawyery-ish, doesn't it? You don't say things that are untrue or put words in my mouth. An opinion, sure, go ahead. You are entitled, but what you were saying here is untrue, and I 100% did not say that. So fighting back, I would guess you would say. And then Rob Hahn comes back with his response. Let's go back to that, because this kind of went back and forth with Anthony basically just chiming in this once, because he was kind of clearly didn't want to get into a complete back and forth. Please explain what you said and how it's different from steering. And then Byron from, Byron, he's the media mogul over at BAM Media, right? The broke agent, right? He has that daily show about real estate news, right? He's a big deal on YouTube. Much better, much bigger than this small little channel. I'm so puzzled how this is the industry voice on this issue all of a sudden. Sad. And let me explain this. What's going on, Byron? So nature abhors a vacuum, right? And so does public relations. And what we're seeing here is an example where NAR is not filling the demand side for message. So NAR is not telling its message effectively enough in the media, and therefore that leaves space for somebody else, Mr. Lamacchia, to come in and tell their story. You see, there's a huge upside on the short term to being against the lawsuit. It brings you viewers to your YouTube channel, and it's like red meat for realtors. And if you want to recruit realtors on the short term, this is brilliant by Mr. Lamacchia because it's making him very popular. If you saw the comment stream on the debate, 98% of those comments were against Mr. Ketchmark and against the court decision. And if you want, there's a lot of energy there. And if you tap into that energy, you're probably going to attract agents to work at your agency, right? That's what's going on here. In fact, this little YouTube channel would be a lot more popular if I had originally came out against this court decision. I'd be wildly more popular, right? But I'm playing for the long term and also for the side that's, in my view, right. So, yeah. But if I wanted to just make short-term hay of this, I'd be against the decision. Perhaps you can ask the National Association whether they agree or disagree with his statements. And, of course, they're not – Rob, this is where you're wrong. They can't even speak for themselves. They're not going to come out and disavow Mr. Lamacchia. They can't even define their own message. So they can't go – no, they're not going to do that. And so are you watching? Can you explain the difference between what he just said and steering? And so, by the way, you should probably just talk about what we're talking about when we talk about steering. Steering is basically the specter of the possibility that agents may now only direct their clients, well, in the future, I should say, to properties that are offering a commission, right? Or offering larger commission. So, right, that's the whole specter of the steering aspect. Like, I'm not going to show you that house because they're not even paying me a commission. So why would I show you that house? That's what we're talking about. It's directing people to different properties based upon the commission that's being offered. Of course, there's another definition of steering, which is directing people to the neighborhood you think they should live in. Oh, you're a member of this group. Oh, you should probably live in that neighborhood. Right? Yeah, that's also wrong. Right. You can't do that either. So anyways, if you haven't been familiar with the Notorious ROB, you can go over and visit him on Substack. What is his website on Substack? It's notoriousrob.substack.com. So Mr. Lamacchia, for his part, has released a video that is now, by the way, thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I see we have a couple of viewers today. Thank you very much. Has now released a video kind of recapping his whole debate performance, which you might remember didn't, like if you were on the realtor side, you ate it up. You thought it was awesome. But if you were kind of stepping back from a wider public relations perspective and saying, that's not going to go over with the general populace, then you were like, ooh, maybe not. But he's unabashed, I guess, in his
a second, and then I'm going to start.
Of how it went.
There were a few people who felt I might have been too personal or too harsh. And again, it was very few. I had literally over 1,000 messages all in from multiple channels, from realtors all over the country I'd never heard of, that were cheering me on and thanking me.
You see, there's a lot of energy in the real estate community for Anthony's point of view. But when you're in that bubble, that you hear what you want to hear.
Very sincerely for taking on Mr. Ketchmark. But there were a few that felt I was too harsh. One of the things I want to remind you all of, this guy offered me a dictionary in his opening statement saying that I didn't understand where the word cartel came from or what it meant. So first I want to say, Mike, please do send me that dictionary because I don't spell very well, and I'd like to have one here around my desk.
You know what? I have something in common with Anthony. I can't spell anything. Like, I can't put two letters together either. So you get the idea. He's not backing down, and that's true to his personality, right? So yeah. So you wouldn't expect him to back down. But he is who he is, right? And he's not going to change until the system changes, and then he'll have to. Because I think, what is that? The tree of justice bends slowly, but in your direction. Whatever that phrase is, I think I'm on the right side of history. In other words, I think I'm on the right side of history here. We'll find out. But in the meantime, he's getting a lot of juice from being against the decision, because in the short term, you might make some money on it by recruiting agents. And he's filling a gap that the NAR is not doing. And I filled a gap. Apparently, this next thing is really not about me. It's about how NAR is not doing their job. And as you know, I went to the Crush It in Real Estate, the Anthony Lamacchia event in Boston. And what was that, a week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. Week and a half ago, whatever it was. And I made a video about my visit there and Mr. Sears' presentation. He's the new president of NAR, Kevin Sears from Springfield, Massachusetts. I don't know him, but I know Anthony. It does, obviously. Anyways, and I don't know Anthony either, for that matter, even though we all live in Massachusetts. 7 million massholes. We don't know each other, all of us. All of us don't know each other. So here I made this video. It did okay here on my YouTube channel. I enjoyed making it, and I enjoyed the conference, which was very successful. Congratulations, Anthony, on a great conference. And then I did the video, and I tweeted out something that I was there and that Mr. Sears spoke, and message back and forth. And all of a sudden, Inman Andrea B at Inman, thank you very much, actually covered my video of Mr. Sears as a story at Inman. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. And yeah, there's your favorite host of, there I am right there. And there's the screenshot of Mr. Sears. And yeah, look at that. Jack Gately on Inman. I couldn't believe it. But this really isn't a story about me and my video. Me and my video should have never been newsworthy, because Mr. Sears should already have been giving interviews to Inman and to that New York Times reporter. What's her name? I can't. The real estate reporter at the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And he should have been all over the industry press. There should be no reason why some knucklehead YouTuber real estate broker from Massachusetts is breaking news, right? The fact that I posted this video and I actually caught this guy on video, I didn't catch him. I just held up my phone. It's not like I was secretive about it. I held up my phone at a conference with a couple of thousand people at it. This should not have been news. But it was, because they are doing such a bad job. They're doing such a bad job of getting in front and filling the news hole. That's why Anthony Lamacchia is the unofficial spokesperson, because he is filling a demand. There is demand for point of view on this topic, and he's the loudest one, Byron. He's the loudest one. And therefore, by default, they're not doing someone else is going to define it for you. And so thank you very much, Andrea B. And this actually story got caught up by Banker and Tradesman, which is a publication here in Boston. Thank you, Anthony, for sending me the link. Andrew, for sending me the link. Thank you, Andrew, for sending me the link. And yeah, so that was great to be featured. But in a way, it almost really wasn't about me. It was about the fact that they're really not doing a good job at telling their side of the story. And I will say this again, Mr. Sears, who I don't know, is a eloquent and relatable and likable spokesman for his point of view. They need to get him out in all sorts of media as soon as possible. As soon as possible. It's at this point now where this is professional media public relations malpractice that we're looking at. All right, so I am going to Florida. I'm looking forward to it, going to the free state of Florida. And I don't have this set up yet. I do have a phone call in, and I want to do a story down there next week about the giant increase in inventory that we've seen up down there without that much of a price differential. So if you go and look at the increase, I'm going to just pick up Punta Gorda here in Florida, which is over by Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. Look at since they had a price peak in August of 2022, they've more than doubled their inventory. But their prices peaked in August of 2022, and they've slid a little bit, but not that much. So I'm like asking myself, if inventory is more than doubled, why haven't we seen a real price crash in places like Punta Gorda or Cape Coral? And I don't know. And I want to get to the bottom of it while I'm there. I was going to go Tuesday, but we're having a big snowstorm here in Massachusetts on Tuesday. So I moved my flight to Monday. I am leaving at dark 30. I'm going to watch the Super Bowl, get about 4 hours of sleep, and then we are out of here. My wife is not happy. She's driving me to the airport at dark 30, but that's the story. So lots of houses for sale in Punta Gorda, and we're going to get to the bottom of this and hopefully do a collab down there. And if not, I'll figure it out on my own and report back to you. It's an interesting story. And also, thank you for Lance Lambert from Resi Club, which you all know is my favorite new website, for hooking me up with some data there for you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Lance. All right. So if you haven't noticed, the 10-year and CNBC's 10-year page is not showing. So we have a quoted here at 10-year at 4.177 on CNBC. And our mortgage rates are now knocking at 6.98. I mean, almost 7, right? We have a very important CPI data coming out on Tuesday, 8:30, right? I think it's Tuesday. Well, I'll bring you a video about that probably on Tuesday. It seems as if we're stuck in this range of like 6.6 to 7. And I am very pessimistic about interest rates, meaning I don't think they're going to be coming under 6 anytime soon. I don't see that, especially with our massive spending and our massive borrowing that we have going on from the federal government. And also, if you look at the calendar, this is obviously a presidential year, and we've already seen them move the goalposts a lot, right? There's going to be 6 rate cuts in 2024. And remember, we were like, oh, there's going to be a rate cut in December. Well, no, don't be foolish. There's not going to be a rate cut in December. It'll be in January. Oh, don't be foolish. It's not going to be a rate cut in January. It'll be in March. And you know what's going to happen next. The next thing is, there's not going to be a rate cut in March. Don't be foolish. It'll be the next meeting. But sooner or later, you run out of meetings. And I don't think the Fed is going to want to cut in October. And fact check me on when the meetings are, but I think they have a meeting in October. Somebody can fact, because you don't want to be seen as cutting rates like on the eve of the election. So I think the September meeting is kind of the last time that you could cut the rates before the election. And even then, so that gives you like 7 months. That's really not that far away. How many rate cuts can you accomplish in 7 months? And if we cut rates like dramatically, say like by 2 points between now and, what does that say for the economy overall? That's not good news for the economy overall. I don't think the stock market might like it, and buyers and sellers might like it, and it might free up the real estate market. But what does that mean for the economy at all, that we have to cut rates that much? And I think we're kind of in this situation where a lot of people are going over the jobs numbers. And if you take a look, the job number beat huge, right? It was a huge win, 300-something thousand jobs. But when you really dive into that Dobb report, and EJ Antoni over at Heritage did a great job on this, there's a lot of part-time jobs in there, lots of part-time jobs in there. And I don't know if that jobs report is as rosy as the market thought it would be. So there's these two things pushing against each other. And I think, was it Ray Dalio who said this, that maybe we just kind of have a little play and be somewhere between 6.5 to 7.5 for the foreseeable future, that structurally we're in that range. And we're not going to see a lot of play higher than that or lower than that because we have recession pushing down and borrowing pushing up. And so maybe there'll just be a little bit of interaction in some type of band for quite some time. We're going to keep a very close eye on that. We did cover earlier last week the story from RealPage and whether or not RealPage was basically acting as a third-party algorithm middleman that was coordinating price fixing between thousands and thousands of apartments owned by different property owners, big property owners. So one of those is Cushman and Wakefield, and another one's this REIT called AIR. And they both settled in this massive antitrust case. This sounds familiar, right? Stop me if you think you've heard this one before. Nothing's changed. Nothing's new. Only slightly less. And so two of parties in this case have now settled. It is going to trial in Nashville, another massive case of antitrust in the real estate business, which I think is interesting. We're dealing with that in the residential commissions, and we're also now dealing it with residential rents. And by the way, as part of that, I found this website. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was first for me, Multifamily Dive. So if you're into the multifamily situation, you might want to check out Multifamily Dive as a news source. I had only recently heard it just recently. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been yet another bubble of, how do I want to say this? Commercial real estate fear. We've had, of course, this very well-known article in the Wall Street Journal. The bill is coming due for a record amount of commercial real estate debt, right? We've seen that. And I just looked at my Perry Real Estate quarterly report, which just came out a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago in Boston. And all of the vacancy rates in Boston, both for Class A and Class B. Let's go a little bit bigger on this. We'll go here. That might both for Class A and Class B in Boston are all up year over year. Over in Boston, we went from 13.3 to 15.7 on occupancy. So, same thing for Cambridge space, same thing for suburban space. Everything is up. When we look at lab space, biotech lab space is so important for Boston. All of the vacancy rates are way up. And of course, the sublease market is way up, especially for biotech space. And so you don't know what sublease, that means that some big company like Biogen or whatever rented up a bunch of space and now they don't need it for whatever reason. And so now they're looking for smaller, basically we're looking to sublet it, right? That's exactly what it is. So yeah. Not the subletting that you saw in the famous movie with Richard Dreyfuss and who co-star in that? Yeah, what was the name? Oh, the great song that came out of that. I can't remember. Anyways, the Flame War, we'll keep you and I updated on that. I've had a really good time. Let's see if we have any comments this Sunday. I know that you're getting ready for the Super Bowl. I do not have a pick. All of you wanted to know, do I have a pick? Well, I have a teenage daughter who loves Taylor Swift. So, but in the end, I don't really. I just want to see a competitive game, great commercials, have some chicken wings, have some fun. And then I'll be in Florida by Monday morning. Until then, have a great day. Have a great Super Bowl. Go make some money. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.